Alright, so today's topic is the 5 pillars of Islam. So we're going to continue on with our unit on the teachings of Islam, and we're going to look at what is referred to as the 5 pillars of Islam, or the 5 pillars of faith. Okay, and these are known as the 5 pillars. Here's a visual representation of them because they are the beliefs or the practices that hold up in the religion of Islam, kind of just like the Roman columns we talked about in previous units holding up a building. So they're referred to as the 5 pillars. And now these are practiced in addition to what Christians and Jews refer to as the 10 Commandments. So these are just some extra things that Muslims are supposed to do in their daily life and as a way of practicing their religion. So here we go. Here's another little graphic for you. It's organized into boxes. The names of the pillars are given both in Arabic and in English, and then we're going to go ahead and just fill them in. So this is the worksheet that you have already been given. Okay, so pillar 1 is known as faith in English translations, faith. And as part of this pillar, Muslims are supposed to both believe and say that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his prophet or messenger. This is supposed to be said out loud to people. It's kind of the similar idea that Christians are expected to spread their religion to other people as much as possible. Muslims, it's the same idea. They're expected to tell people that there's only one God and that Muhammad is his prophet. And as we talked about before, remember that Allah is simply the Arabic word for God. Remember, all 3 religions did begin with the same man named Abraham, and therefore technically it is the same God, although remember they do all have different ways to get to that same God. Okay, so pillar number 2 is pray or prayer. And Muslims are supposed to pray 5 times a day, and when they pray, they face the city of Mecca. More specifically, they face the Kaaba, which is that shrine we discussed, built by Abraham and his son, that is located in Mecca. Okay, so they must do this 5 times a day. Pillar 3 is alms, or giving to charity, is the way we would say it. In this pillar, they are expected to give a portion of their income to the poor. They are also expected to take care of orphans, the sick, widows, anyone less fortunate than themselves. And again, they are expected to give a certain percentage of their income to the needy every month, every week, whenever they get it. It's very similar to Christian practices, which are usually referred to as a tithe, in the sense that Christians are also expected to give a portion of their income to those who might need it. If you've ever been to church and you've been sitting there and they pass around the offering plate, that is one way that Christians give alms or give to charity, and there are many, many other ways to do it, and Muslims are also expected to do this. So, pillar number 4 is known as fasting, and fasting means you don't eat. And in this case, they do not eat or drink from sunrise to sunset during the month of Ramadan. Now, don't get this wrong on the test. Don't write that they don't eat or drink for a month, because then they would be dead. If you don't eat or drink for a month, you're not going to be alive. No, it's that they don't eat or drink from sun up until sundown. So what happens normally is they get up in the morning, they'll have a large breakfast before the sun comes up, and then they will go all day without eating, and then come back together after the sun goes down for another large dinner. The idea is that they're giving up something so that they can experience a little bit of suffering to understand and appreciate the things that they have. And this usually takes place during their very holy spiritual month of Ramadan. And at the end of Ramadan, they usually have a festival, a celebration where they celebrate getting through the month. And again, depending on different interpretations of this fasting period, some Muslims don't even drink water. Some think water's okay, some think, absolutely not. And usually it starts when children are a little older. For the most part, you're not going to want a 6-year-old to partake in not eating, because they're not really going to understand what they're doing. So most of the time it's a little bit older, maybe around 10, 11, 12 years old, they will begin to partake in this ritual and this tradition. So again, this is fasting. They don't eat from sunrise to sunset. Okay, now we got pillar 5. And the last pillar is also known as the Hajj, or the pilgrimage. And remember, we defined pilgrimage before as a journey for a religious reason or to a sacred or religious place. So in this case, Muslims must make a pilgrimage to Mecca, and they must go at least once in their lifetime. There are really only two reasons for not going. One is they are physically unable to go, sick and maybe disabled, or having other types of issues with their health, or they are financially unable. Now, that doesn't mean that, financially unable means that if you go, your family will not be able to eat, or you might lose your house or something like that. It's not, oh, if I go, I'm not going to be able to buy that brand new television. That's not quite how it works. If you are able, then you are supposed to go on this journey to Mecca, visit the places that Muhammad walked, visit the Mount Hira, where the cave was, where Gabriel delivered the message, visit the Kaaba. Very similar to what some Christians like to do, to go to the city of Jerusalem, where, remember, Christ was both crucified and later, according to Christian belief, resurrected. Okay, so it's a similar pilgrimage for Christians to go to Jerusalem, just like Muslims must make a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in their lifetime. So there you have it. Those are the 5 pillars of faith, or the 5 pillars of Islam, the 5 practices that every Muslim is supposed to do, and the 5 practices that are kind of the foundation or the support for the rest of the Islamic faith.